Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Funk. I am with Trillium Creek Dermatology, and today I have the pleasure and going to give you all a great insight to the history of what is Trillium Creek and the three individuals behind the scenes that made what Trillium Creek is today, while also going back a few decades and understanding how these two lovebirds connected, how Heather became a part of the business. So I hope you enjoy this journey. If you have any questions, please comment on social media. We'll be happy to answer those. But we're going to start with Dr. Helen Torock. An amazing woman, an amazing story. You've been through so much in life. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, when you came to the U.S., why you decided to go to medical school. Walk us through that journey.
So my first 10 of my years of my life, I lived in Germany, and I lived in war-torn Germany right after the war. I was born in 47, 2 years after the war ended. So for the first 10 years, I was in DP camps, which are displaced people camps. So, no food, no clothes. The Salvation Army would ring a bell like once every 3-4 months in Germany, and we would all run from these camps, and you would get one outfit, one pair of shoes, one outfit. You didn't, it just measured you off next. And we lived on the kindness of the American people, because this was all provided by the American people, by the U.S. government. So I owe a lot to the U.S. government, and I'm very grateful for all that. So at the age of 10, my stepfather, for the last 5 years, from 5 to 10, we were trying to get to the United States. Back then, you had to have a sponsor, you had to have a place to live, you had to have a job. So it took 5 years to get to this country. I should have been in Argentina. But there were quotas, so that Argentina was full. Then we were supposed to go to LA. LA was full. Then we were supposed to go to Chicago. That was full. After 5 years, we landed in Cleveland. And we were sponsored by the Catholic Service, Relief Service. And so here I am, through the wonderful, bountiful giving of the American people and the Catholic Relief Services. I'm here, and I'm very happy to be in this country.
Very good. So Dr. Leonard, born and raised in Ohio, grew up in Parma. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I grew up strictly in Ohio, born in Cleveland, grew up on the east side of Cleveland in Wickliffe, Ohio, and stayed there until I left home and went away to college, medical school, and all that.
All right, so Heather, obviously Heather is the daughter of Dr. Helen and Dr. Leonard. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you went to high school, college, got your MBA.
So I grew up right here in Medina, so I had wonderful role models that were entrepreneurial. So grew up here in Medina, went to high school right here in Medina, went to college here in Ohio at Ohio Wesleyan, and then got my master's at Ashland.
Okay, so now we'll get to the juicy part. You two lovebirds. Tell us, how did you two meet?
First year in medical school, everybody was together in one group, and so that's where we became acquainted, and then worked together through the clinics and everything like that, spent a lot of time together in medical school, and that's how it brought us together, and ended up, we got married during our internship immediately after medical school.
But you actually went to college together and never met.
Yeah, I was an on-campus student at Case Western Reserve, and Helen was a city student, so we didn't actually know each other, even though we went to the same undergraduate school.
Okay, so I'm going to have Dr. Helen go a little deeper, because I've heard some of these stories about how you were going into the apartment or house where he had a girlfriend, and you kind of...
He didn't have a girlfriend. No, he did not have a girlfriend. But, he's the love of my life. After 47 years, I adore him, and I'm so happy we met in medical school. My roommate was in love with him.
That's what it was.
My roommate adored him because she knew it in college, and I didn't. I was a commuter, but we both went, all three of us went to Case. And she would take me to tag along just so it didn't look obvious that, she was trying to see him. And my husband...
She's a smart girl.
Oh my gosh. So for about a year and a half, I kept tagging along. And Then one day he goes, well, Helen, I've been coming to see you with Sue, not Sue. So I said, oh my gosh, that's not good. That is not good. But it worked out. She's happily married. She married a multimillionaire, so she's happily married. I'm happily married, and it all worked out very, very well.
So how did you propose to Dr. Helen?
It was at the end of medical school, and we were all going off wherever we were going, and I thought, well, this is it. Either we stay together or we go off in different directions. And so we were very close, and everything had gone well. So at that point I said, okay, let's get married during our internship, and that was 1973.
Sounds like a romantic proposal.
Oh yeah, surgeons aren't real romantic.
He was packing his car from his apartment. I'm packing my car, and he comes over and he goes, Helen, what do you think we get married? I'm going, it's the first time he's ever said anything, ever, right? We think we get married.
Wait till the last moment. It's okay.
Okay, so this is June. Well, we're going to get married in September. I go, September? What? He goes, okay, December. If you can't get ready by December, no wedding.
And look at you now, 47 years later.
Right.
So, did you always want to be a doctor? Was that the plan?
So I had a stepfather who, his big push was education, right? And ever since 9 years of age, Helen, you're going to be a doctor. You will be. I had two brothers. You never said that to my brothers. You're going to be the doctor. You will be a doctor. Oh, we had no money. We had no car, nothing, no TV. We didn't even have nothing, right? I'm going to be a doctor. Okay, Dad. All right, I'll be a doctor. So at the age of 14, I signed a contract to be a nun, a cloistered nun, which means you don't speak for the rest of your life.
That would have gone over well.
Yeah. I don't know how long that would have
You're in
lasted.
the mountains. All you do is sing praise to Jesus and pray for the sins of the world. And of course, my stepfather, because he wanted me to be a doctor, shredded it. And I was in a public school the next day.
So did you always want to be in dermatology, or was there another specialty or area you were considering?
Well, back then in 1970, when we went to medical school, there were 220 of us in medical school. 10 of them were girls, women. The rest were all men, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to save the world. I'm going to save the women. I mean, how does a man know what a woman feels like going through childbirth and all that other stuff, right? So I registered to be an OBGYN, obstetrics gynecology, right? But God had other plans. I got a rash towards the end of my medical school, very common rash everybody gets. I thought I was dying. In medical school, we all think we're dying. Anytime you get a disease, you're dying. So Chief of Dermatology, Dr. Ed Lowney, I will never forget his name because he saved my life, right? What is this? Oh, you've got tinea versicolor, you just got to do this. I go, well, aren't you going to take an x-ray? Aren't you going to take some blood tests? No, Helen, no. So for 2 months, he made me stay with him, as he said, to respect dermatology, and I never looked back. He literally saved my life. I love what I do, love my husband, of course, my family, and I love my career. Love dermatology.
Fantastic. So for you, Dr. Leonard, same thing. Did you always want to go into medical school, and did you always want to kind of gravitate towards the orthopod world?
For me, it was back in the 20th century. Your family had a great deal of influence on you. And so my parents wanted me to be a doctor, and so I enlisted in a college, Western Reserve at that point, which was very pre-med, and all my friends were pre-med, and so I kind of followed along and found it to be easy to do and worked easily and well for me. So yeah, I just went through the program, went to medical school, and became an orthopedist because of all the specialties in medicine. That one really kind of harmonized with me. I have kind of an engineering mechanical way of thinking, and that's very much way the orthopedic specialty is. And so as you go through medical school and experience different rotations, do different things, that was the one where I said, oh yeah, this one really fits me well. So I was really happy. I did orthopedics for the first 30 years after medical school and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay. So we'll go back here a little bit. So you were done with residency, ready to go into the dermatology world.
1978.
How did you end up in Medina?
My husband wanted to go live on a mountain in New Hampshire.
That's not where we are, obviously.
His goal was to live on a mountain in New Hampshire and just be happy over there. Well, our family lived in Cleveland. I said, Leonard, who's going to help us take care of the kids? How are we going to relate the way out there in New Hampshire? He goes, okay, you find me a place that I will fall in love with, and I'll stay here in the Northeast Ohio area. So one of my friends, Dr. Linda Alston, practiced in Akron, lived in Medina. And I told her this, and she goes, oh, I have a farm for him. A farm? I'm going, oh, what? 140 acres. So I said, okay, I'll show it to him, but it's 140 acres. So off he comes, he looks at it and goes, okay, I'm staying. I'm hooked. Yeah, we bought it, 140 acre farm.
And so then you opened a smaller practice here in Medina.
So I worked with Dr. Alston because she recruited me for a little under a year. We both lived in Medina. I wanted to serve my community. I wanted to practice and serve where I live. I didn't want to go up to Akron and serve those people. That's not my community. Mm-hmm. And I asked her and begged her and pleaded. I said, why don't we open something in Medina? There's no dermatologists in Medina. There is a need here. And my peers laughed at me because they said, there's only cows and horses. And so you'll be a veterinarian for the, dermatology veterinarian in Medina. But, Dr. Alston gave her a blessing and said, go ahead and try it. You'll starve to death and you'll never have any business, but go ahead and try it. So I did, with the help of my husband's encouragement. He's always encouraging. He has faith and, he's a team member. He always supports me and helps me. He says, let's do it. So we did. That's how we started.
Very good. So for you...
And I did starve for 10 years.
Where were you seeing patients for the 30 years as an orthopedic surgeon? Where were you seeing patients? Where was your practice?
My primary location was Wadsworth, Ohio. I did a little bit of work in Medina, but was so busy in Wadsworth that I really just had to stay at one hospital to be able to cover all the emergencies that would happen, and all the patients were there. So Wadsworth Hospital at that time was really a wonderful hospital. I was the only orthopedist there, so it was awfully busy until after 5 years, I got Dr. Kleiman to come out and help me to get the load down a little bit. But Wadsworth Hospital at that time, orthopedics was fairly new, so I could establish the practice in the way I wanted it, and it worked very nicely for me for a long time.
So we've talked about this. I saw Dr. Leonard when I was probably about 10 or 11 years old.
Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't know
I had a broken ankle, put me in a cast. So that's, how the world works and all that funny stuff, but it's quite unique, yes.
And the phone rang every night, all night, for years.
Oh, I can imagine.
Years,
Yeah. So you had your practice there on East Smith, and today we are here on Worcester Pike Road in Medina. What was the decision or the thought process and why you moved from East Smith, that location, that practice, to where you are now today?
So that was the encouragement of my patients. It was a small house that we converted into an office. And you didn't have enough waiting room space. I think we had 12 seats in the waiting room.
Yeah, parking lot.
Maybe. And the parking lot, people were falling all over each other. And so through the encouragement of my patients, they go, why don't you open something larger? And I go, oh my goodness. And even my husband said, go ahead. He's always saying, go ahead. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. And Heather was with me at the time also. And she's the same thing. We're running out of space. We need more space. So we were going to expand that small building and just build onto it, and we got plans for it. And 620, the construction company that built this facility, refused to build it. They just flat out refused. Jim Gow, I said, Jim, he goes, I won't build it for you. Have you ever heard of a construction person turning down business?
No.
So when I mentioned that 620 gave us a flat no on expanding in our old little office on East Smith Road. The reason Jim Gow did that, and he was so honest, is because he thought, and was correct, that it would never work out. You could not expand it enough to accommodate what we have here today. So I do thank Jim for not leading us down that path and for building this amazing facility with his expertise. So when we met that day with him and he said no, I had a free skin cancer screening at Westfield Center, which we did on Saturday. So as I'm crying, driving to Westfield Center, because he's not going to build me my office, I pass this piece of land. It says for sale. And I went, oh, stop crying, Helen. So I did my screening, came back, pulled into this area, and it was terrible. There were dilapidated barns and horse barns and outbuildings. They were rusting and falling apart, and an old house, really from 1926. So I knocked on a door and I said, "Can I look at this property?" She was, "Sure, go ahead." So I walked in my nice clothes that I had that day, through the creek. That's why it's called creek. Through the woods, through the barbed wires, everything. And then there were trilliums in the back. Beautiful scene, right here on this little hilltop. Trillium Creek Dermatology. I made her an offer, and I said, "Leonard, you got to come in because I'm buying this place." He says, "Okay, let's do it." That's the way he is. He's positive attitude. He has the most positive attitude you'll ever have. Let's just do it, Helen.
So kind of going down that road, Trillium, 3 petals, you mentioned Heather. Heather used to work at the practice at East Smith. You thought it was just more or less a temporary job, and here you are 20 years later. So explain how the dynamic of the 3 of you and kind of how the 3 of you decided to, you left the orthopedic world, you got your MBA, Dr. Helen in this practice, how the 3 of you really became one and created this amazing compound that's here today.
Yeah, the timing was great because it was a culmination of all 3 of us doing different things, but doing them together. So one of the big reasons that Trillium Creek started on this property was because Dr. Leonard was transitioning from orthopedics into holistic medicine. So he wanted his own facility to practice all the different modalities that he was trained in. She needed more space, and I was ready to venture out and do something on my own as well with the skincare, the hair care, the makeup. So really, we were all 3 passionate about what we were doing. So we said, well, the Trillium really kind of signifies it's the Ohio State wildflower. It was abundant here on the property, but it also signified the holistic aspect, the aesthetic aspect, and the dermatology aspect. All of us working together to achieve our dreams together as a family unit.
So along with the design and the thought process with these 2 amazing buildings here and the long driveway as you come back here, what was the thought process of putting the buildings in the back and separating the 2 a little bit? What was the discussions in regards to what is here?
Well, we actually got a feng shui expert to analyze the property, the way the building should be situated, the doors, the entryway. We had a medical design company, architectural company in Georgia design the buildings. So, so it would be very, very medically oriented and compatible with all that. But then we brought in a feng shui to look at the designs that they laid out, and she goes, no. You have to make sure, because the doors were coming straight at you. If you're sitting at the check-in counters, they were coming straight at you, opening, boom, boom, boom. She says, you will kill everybody that way. The energy will be terrible. So you want to like the meandering driveway. Mm-hmm. It's a calming driveway. As you meander, you're coming up the little hill. This is the top of the hill. This is the highest part in the county, Medina County, this little hill, okay? And then she says, so the doors will open and meander also into the building. So we have 2 doors coming in, meandering. You'll see mirrors situated throughout the building. That's all the way the feng shui energy is, positive energy. You'll notice my office is in one corner, the corner that's suitable for my personality and my birth date. So it's feng shui very, very positive.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why we're successful.
So when did this open and how many years, months did it take from start to finish?
So it was June 10th, 2003, and it took almost a full year from the initial purchase to the designs, but we worked with 620 Construction, who are amazing. It's very hard to find a good contractor that you trust, but we worked with the design company that designed medical offices, and we worked day and night around the clock, whether it was picking out fabrics, picking out the finishes, how everything's going to flow. We were fully encompassed for a year.
So it took a year to develop the property because the property had no gas lines, it had no telephone lines, power lines, so everything's buried under it. That took a long time. And then his building started first, yours took 6 months, our building took 9 months, and they worked through the winter. It was covered in plastic.
Okay, so Dr. Leonard, you wanted your own building, got your own building next door, decided to leave the orthopedic world and venture into holistic medicine. So I guess 2 questions. What is holistic medicine and why holistic medicine? Why the transition?
There's a lot of things in medicine that are difficult to understand. Many times you'll do a treatment and you expect everything to go well, and it doesn't. And then the other times you think nothing can help this. You have no expectation of anything being better, and everything gets better. So there's a lot of things at a certain level in medicine that are unexplainable. And so I always like trying to explain the unexplainable, which takes you into the holistic spectrum of the human being, not just the body and the mind, but even the spirit. And so when you start to study things that are non-physical, it becomes very intriguing, and you get an entirely different understanding of what creates health and what creates illness. And so I found that quite intriguing. It's kind of like that engineering background that takes you into orthopedics. You want to break things down and understand how they work and why they work like they work, to try to explain some of those things that seem to be unexplainable.
And so for you, Heather, the 3 of you were here. Your dad had the holistic side. Your mom was practicing dermatology. What was your niche, and what was it that you were doing at the time when this place opened?
Well, you saved me. Because I used to do all the managerial. I oversaw
How'd you like that?
every
that's pretty good.
component,
That's
whether
pretty
it was marketing, HR, accounting, all the employees. So, and that's not my passion. My passion is, more entrepreneurial, developing products, growing we have our own medical grade skincare, hair care line, makeup line. So that's what I'm passionate about, is, working with the boutique team, our clients, our patients, finding niches for them, to improve their skin, the health of their hair, all of those things. But yes, at that point, I had gotten my MBA. My parents back when I graduated college said, we just need help for a couple months. Our office manager isn't really cutting it. So I said, sure, I'm a family person. Of course, I'm going to come help out my family. So I said, okay, if I'm really going to help them, I need to go back to school, get my master's. So I started right that fall after I graduated college, working during the day and then taking my MBA classes at night and weekends, and then just applying everything I was learning to help the business. So I think that also, gave my parents the confidence to say, okay, we can make this leap because we're making improvements and strides in the overall business of Trillium Creek. But my true passion definitely is working with the clients, developing products, growing the business, and yes, my husband Aaron saved me from all the managerial.
So that's probably a good lane to go down. Is obviously, for those of you that don't know, this is my beautiful wife, Heather. I am privileged that I had the opportunity and married into this amazing family. And that's why I'm sitting here doing this interview, because there's so many unique stories. And there's a reason why the 3 of you are so successful in all the obstacles that you've overcome and how well you work together as a team. And I can tell you, as someone who's worked in different industries and now been here for 15 years, I always say that when we're doing an interview, I get the question of, well, what's the atmosphere like? What's it like there? And I always tell the individuals that are interviewing that this is a family-owned business, and we truly try to treat every employee as an extension of the family, that we truly care about our employees, and we truly want to see everyone do what they enjoy, have fun. They work hard, but they know they've got the support, whether they need it personally or also professionally. And that's really demonstrated with the three of you, and it just trickles down through everyone, no matter what it is that you do here. So that's definitely, you know, hats off to the three of you and what you've created. So one of the fun stories and the best question I'm getting ready to ask is, so remind me, when your husband said, I'm gonna hire Aaron to run our company, your reaction was?
Priceless. So we're up, 30,000 feet, flying somewhere to a meeting, and he goes, Helen, I want to talk to you about something after we landed. I'm very impatient. I'm not going to wait till we land. You tell me right now. I go, okay, what is it? What is it? What is it? Don't keep me in the dark. Okay, he says, I'm going to hire Aaron. And you've been married, what, a couple years?
No,
you
months.
Months. He goes, I'm hiring Aaron. I go, I think the air's a little thin up here. I think you need a little oxygen. He's a golf pro. He's a pretty boy. I'm sorry. That's. I go, no. What does he know about business? He's a golfer. Little did I know the intense training that golf pros. He was at Pinehurst. What's that course called? Number 2?
Yeah.
He would run 500 people on some of these huge tournaments. That was his project. That was the course that always had the tournaments. You had Tiger Woods, Mickelson, he knows them all, right? So little did I know that the training that they had in business, in management, in people skills, they had to pass all these tests. But I didn't know that till later. So I am so blessed, and we're so happy as a family, as a group, to have Aaron lead us, because we have gone to heights that we didn't imagine we could get to. That's because of his expertise. And of course, he sometimes bothers us. No, don't do that. But it's good guidance. It really is.
I appreciate that. And I'm pretty sure you said at one point over my dead body.
I'm sure I did. I'm still alive, thank God.
So talk about, this location's been here for many years. So to kind of just, go off of Medina, we've been here now as a team, not just the 4 of us, but the 80 plus employees that we have. We've now expanded. We have a practice now in Worcester. We have a practice in Wadsworth. We have a practice in Brunswick. And truly, again, it goes back to the vision and the hard work and the determination that started with the 3 of you and the amazing staff that we have. So it's been an absolute joy to sit here, learn a little bit more about the 3 of you. But on behalf of all the communities, the employees here, we can never probably properly thank you all for everything that you've done for us as individuals, how you continually give back to the communities, give back to your churches, give back to the schools, give back to everyone. You 3 are very generous individuals. And that I know that is something that Heather and I really, really try to follow in your footsteps and giving back to everyone. So on behalf of everyone, thank you for today and thank you for everything that you do.
It's our pleasure.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.